What do they call them? What do they call the?
This is just a maid.
No, what do they call the
Harajuku girls?
Harajuku?
Harajuku. The way you say bye, you say sayonara.
I knew that.
But again, people who don't know Japanese know that.
Travel as a personal development practice. And yes, that is Godzilla behind me. Stay tuned. This is Damon Cart from NLP Gym. Travel reveals your invisible programs. If you haven't already, please click subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. If you haven't noticed by now, I am not in Santa Cruz, California. I'm actually in Tokyo, Japan, where I'm doing a little travel with a friend and realizing that travel itself can be a personal development practice. Just like NLP, what we do with NLP is we take programs that are mostly unconscious and make them conscious again so that we can then change them so that we are not being controlled by our programs, we are in charge of our programs. So what is a program? A program is basically what our mind does when we create a habit, a routine, or what we call in NLP a program. Your mind is always looking for shortcuts. So we create habits, we create routines. You can think like when you say you started a new job for the first time and you didn't know all the best ways to get to work from where you live, and you didn't know what the traffic was going to be like. And over a period of time, you find the best routes, and once you've discovered the best routes, you don't even think about it anymore. You just go to work and you return home from work. When I lived in Los Angeles, because of the traffic, which was really bad, I had different routes. I had to figure out different routes so I could find the shortest ways to get there, and they were different routes throughout the day, depending on if I was going to work in the morning, going to lunch, or going home in the evening. Once I discovered all the routes, the best routes, I didn't even think about it anymore. But it took some time to figure out that and create a program out of it. But once your mind has it, it allows it to go unconscious, so you don't have to think about it anymore. Now we do this, we've been doing this since we've been children. We create programs and they go unconscious. And in fact, they can go so unconscious that by the time you're an adult, you're still running old programs, and those programs aren't serving you anymore, and you don't realize it. What starts to happen is you start to get psychological symptoms. It could be depression, it could be addiction, it could be just being passive aggressive. You know the symptoms, you're experiencing the symptoms, and you're well aware of that, but you don't know what the cause of this is. That's still sort of buried in your unconscious. So with NLP, we go into there and we sort of make it conscious again, and then we change the program or we replace it with something else. Hypnosis kind of does that, where a lot of times we don't need to make it conscious again. You can just go into your unconscious and give it instructions to work the situation out. With travel, you get out of your normal routines. You get out of your normal everyday stuff. You get out of your normal everyday thinking. When you do something so routinely, and that is seeing the same things every day, seeing the same people every day, seeing the same places every day, what starts to happen is it sort of becomes invisible to you. You don't even really notice it anymore. It's just your normal thing that you're doing. You're on autopilot. So to you, it may seem like you're doing the same thing every day, but in reality, you're experiencing something new, even though it might be the same place. You're still seeing that place for the first time that day. And with work, you're still seeing the same people, but you're seeing them for the first time in that moment. So it is actually new. A good example of things becoming invisible because they're so routine is, say you work in an office building with cubicles, and you work at a cubicle, and by the time you get home that evening and you're watching TV, your coworkers who you see every day, you don't even realize that you've seen them. The person who is 3 cubicles down, you might not even known if they were at work that day or not. And you may have walked right past them. You may have seen that person several times that day, but you can't even recall by the time you get home whether or not you actually saw that person, whether or not that person was actually at work that day. Now it's different if you depend on that person, you're going to know whether or not they were there. But in general, the people who you're not dependent on every single day, you may see them every day and not even realize it. First time I took a trip abroad was when I was 17 and I went to Europe for the first time. And it completely shook me up. All my old programs, everything that I was taught, all my conditioning, sort of got questioned because I was experiencing a sort of different reality that was outside of the reality that I was used to, the routine, invisible reality that I had been accustomed to. Now everything was different, the people were different, the places were different, And it sort of called into question all my programs, which surfaced and evolved and changed on their own. A lot of people say they would like to travel, but then they make excuses like it costs too much, or it's dangerous, or all these things that don't really make sense. Because anybody can travel. This is at this time in this world now, in our modern day, world travel is the easiest that it could possibly be. Most people, what it is they enjoy the comfort of their routine so much that they don't want to get out of that. They don't want to shake things up. I really enjoy shaking things up. I love personal development. I love adventure. I love things that challenge me. To summarize, when you get out of your normal routines, when you travel, you're getting out of your normal program, so suddenly they become conscious to you again. And they're not invisible anymore. And I find that when I travel, I start to appreciate simple things like sunlight, like trees. Of course, where I live, I have plenty of sunlight, I have plenty of trees, but I don't even see them anymore. They're invisible to me. I'm just walking by them, not even paying attention. But when I travel, because I'm so out of my element, I start to notice these things all over again. And that's that's the beauty of life, where you start to just appreciate all the very simple things. That it's not about running from one goal to the next or one success to the next. It's not about running from one adventure to the next. Those things are perfectly okay, and those things are fine to do. Yet sometimes we can miss and forget just appreciating the very simple things around us. In addition to practicing NLP, I can't recommend traveling enough. Travel will shake things up for you, and you will become more conscious of your programming, and you then get a chance to change it. And that's the wonderful thing about NLP. It's also the wonderful thing about traveling. Check out my website, nlp-gym.com. Follow me on Facebook for real-time updates on upcoming workshops and free practice sessions that I hold in Santa Cruz, California. If you like this video, please click like right down here and leave me a comment or a question. I will get back to you. Stay tuned to the end of this video so you can see how you can get your hands on a free NLP online training. Take care, and sayonara from Tokyo, Japan. Watch. Hello. The train's not going to be a problem. It's the wind that's hitting the microphone directly. See that? Yeah, because it's like banging into it. What the fuck is this? I don't know.
A truck?
Is it that up there? Travel as a personal development practice. Smudges here. Ah.